During one of the ProductSis Q&A held in 2025, someone asked me what the hardest part of being a product manager is. And while there are so many challenges we face as product managers, one keeps coming up consistently. One word: ambiguity. Let's talk about it. If we've not met, hi, my name is Miracle, but you can call me ProductSis. I'm a product management professional, creator, and educator. And on this channel, I share simple and practical insights on product management, career growth, and personal development. And today, I want to walk you through how I've been able to handle ambiguity as a product manager and how you can do same with confidence and ease. Before we get right into it, I want to quickly define the term ambiguity, especially within the context of product management. So ambiguity in product management is the constant state of uncertainty, incomplete information, and undefined problems product managers navigate to drive product direction. So it arises from things like vague customer needs, shifting market dynamics, conflicting stakeholder goals, basically. So how have I been able to handle this over time? The first 2 points I want to share with you is in no particular order. One can come before the other, but I'll start with this. Start with what you do know. Ambiguity often feels overwhelming for us because we spend too much time on what's missing. So the first thing I do is pause and ask a simple question. What do I already know about this problem? For example, let's say you're told as a product manager that users are dropping somewhere in the flow. Can you look into it? Now, in that situation, you might not know the root cause yet, but I bet you that there are some information you are most likely able to find out. Like the part of the journey the person in question is talking about, the metrics that you and your team care about the most, any recent changes that were shaped, and probably feedback that has already come up in stand-ups or via user reviews. I start by writing those down, the goals, the constraints, the context, basically anything that's connected to that problem that is within my reach. You see, starting with what you know gives you something solid to work from instead of feeling like you're starting from scratch. Once I've anchored myself in what I do know, the next step is to break the problem into simple, clearer questions. Early in your product management career, it might feel like you're supposed to have the right answers straight away, but the real skill is learning how to ask the right question. So instead of trying to solve everything at once, I'll ask questions like, who is it really affecting? Talking about the users, because again, you need to understand that it'll get to a point in your product where all your users are not necessarily the same if you're looking at the behavioral side of things. And I would probably do a different video on that. So who is it actually affecting here? What part of the journey is being affected? What part of the journey are we focusing on? What are we trying to change or improve? How will we know that this worked? So maybe speaking to metrics, expected outcomes, and things like that. Referring back to the previous example, if you're told that this feature is not performing well, that's not a clear problem. Breaking it down helps you turn a vague statement into something you can actually work on. Ambiguity becomes easier when you break it down into simple, answerable questions. The next point is talk to people. Don't sit with uncertainty alone. One mistake I see early career product managers make is trying to figure out everything on their own. From experience, I've realized that sometimes when something feels ambiguous, it's usually because you're lacking context and not necessarily because you're incapable. So instead of sitting with uncertainty, I talk to people. Early, I speak with my colleagues. I'll check in with the engineer to understand technical constraints or edge cases. I'll speak with the designer to clarify user flow and try to identify where the confusion might be happening. I'll speak with my data analyst to see what signals already exist. And if needed, and I've found this really helpful, I'll align with my manager to understand business context and priorities. You need to understand that asking for help, asking questions is not a sign of weakness. It's how you build understanding and trust with your team as a product manager. And to be honest, in real world situations, in product management, clarity is rarely owned by one person. It's a team effort. Another point I want to share is test small assumptions instead of waiting for big answers. This is another trap early career product managers fall into, where they wait for perfect clarity before they take action. But in product, clarity actually comes after you've started moving, not before. So instead of trying everything at once, I focus on testing small assumptions. That might look like running a quick user interview, pulling a data cut, asking my designer for a rough sketch, or writing down a short hypothesis and sharing it with the team. For example, if you find out that users are dropping off because one step is confusing, depending on the situation, you might not need the full solution yet, especially if that's going to take much time. Sometimes I try to think of the simplest way, simple but yet effective way to solve the problem so that we can test quickly, get insight quickly, and iterate. Small experiments turn uncertainty into insight and helps you move forward with much more confidence. And the last one is get comfortable being uncomfortable. The truth is, ambiguity is not something you grow out of in product. In fact, the more senior you become, the more unclear and open-ended the problems get. So one mindset shift that has helped me is this: ambiguity isn't a sign that I'm failing. It's part of the job. Especially if you're early in your career, it's easy to assume that feeling unsure means that you're not ready yet, you're not cut out for the job. But sometimes it might just mean that you're being trusted with more responsibility. I know I've been in that situation. So instead of seeing ambiguity as something to avoid, start seeing it as a space where you learn, grow, and build confidence as a product manager. Because if you think about it, the product managers who thrive aren't the ones who wait for certainty. They are the ones who learn how to lead through uncertainty. Ambiguity will always be part of product management. It's how you handle it that sets you apart. Start with what you do know, break the problem down, talk to people, test small assumptions, and communicate clearly as you go. If this helped you in any way, let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, join the family, stick around. Over here, we're building clarity and confidence together, one video at a time. I'll see you in the next one.